looks like we have Damian Del Nero up top. That's a familiar name, I know. Top forward, I want to say RC Portland with Eldrazi. No stranger to big mana. Makes sense to be playing Domain. And then we got Connor Ott on the bottom playing Azorius Omniscience. Both players at 9 and 2. Both have a very solid chance to go deep in this tournament. Who do you like between Domain and Omniscience here?
This is a very difficult matchup for Domain.
I would figure, yeah.
So the Domain deck does a really good job. You know, people wanting to get in the Quarry Steelcutter battle of either playing Steelcutter or trying to beat it.
Yeah.
Domain's pretty good in that area. But when it comes to, you know, the classic linear combo versus ramp deck, it's almost always a disaster.
Yeah.
You know, where there just isn't enough interaction points or speed on the Overlord side. There are tools, more so on the sideboard, and there obviously is somewhat of a fail rate for the Omniscience deck, but it's a pretty tough game one.
That would make a lot of sense to me. And yeah, you know, the Omniscience deck is going to have some dead cards, you know, a couple of lockdowns, that kind of thing. But outside of that, Azorius Omniscience, just by design, doesn't have a ton of dead cards because, well, it's all card draw combos and then a few, you know, major cards that you need, and they're almost always for lockdown.
Yeah, you know, Day of Judgment, Riot's End, you know, all these cards from Domain, they're usually built to extend the game.
Yeah.
Don't really play here. And there isn't really game extension because the combo deck is able to win the game in one single turn.
Yep.
Doesn't matter how many Overlords you have in play, how many Moth tokens you have in play, how many cards you have in your hand, if there aren't, you know, counter spells or other options like that to stop the combo. So
yeah.
Game 1 is mostly a race, not a great place to be as a ramp player, but realistically, you know, Zur is a powerful card. You know, I think Zur is a key card here as far as getting the Overlords into attack.
I hate to interrupt you, but while you're about to say that, I think the game's over this turn.
Okay,
you know?
never mind.
So that looks like an Omniscience, and Connor has sped up his pace of play.
Sure.
Bang!
Okay, yeah. beating a turn 4 Omniscience with Domain in Game 1 is close to impossible.
Yeah, and I like what Damian did. Even if Damian had like a get lost, you know, and had the option of, okay, I hold back, hope my get lost gets there, you know, and I can kill this in response, or you just play Impending the Overlord, give yourself a chance to maybe Zur, you know, and really go to town. So I like the playing to win instead of playing not to lose here from Damian.
Strong agree.
Yeah.
So, of course, you see in the loops here with the Omniscience deck, every spell is free. Going to find some of these dragons here and bounce some stuff. The Dragon Storms will keep drawing more cards. And until we find 2 dragons and a copy of the Saga that I forget the name of right now, Founding the Third Path, which will mill 4. And then you loop the dragon, bouncing a dragon and the Founding. Keep doing that over and over again so they mill their entire library. And there is some amount of non-deterministicness here until 2 dragons are found.
Sure.
Where, in theory, Connor could draw literally all lands in temporary lockdowns, but it's pretty tough.
Doesn't happen often, and here's a way to rebuy a solid 8 cards here by being able to play this once again, get all the Dragon Storms back.
Cool, too, how Dispersal is a defensive card that's also useful wall combo.
Oh, this is all really cool, that's for sure. Draw some more cards. I love the Founding the Third Path as a card that was like, you know, found for this combo where you don't have to play the battles and stuff like that. My funniest Founding the Third Path story was Eli Cassis at Worlds that like found that card for the blue-white Oculus deck.
Yep.
And then just 5-0'd a league the night before and was like, it's not going to get posted in time. And did, and other people played the tech. Absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, that was the missing piece for the Oculus deck that we were testing was we didn't have that. So we dismissed it pretty quickly, didn't have the technology.
You didn't have an internet connection and the way to look at a Magic Online League dump?
I meant earlier on in the week before, we were practicing with the deck. So
I was like, you guys need to readjust your testing strategy if you guys aren't using.
We test old school. No internet, no Magic Online, no Magic Arena.
Okay.
Candlelight only.
Nice.
You know,
wow.
It's a nice mood, honestly.
You guys do put up some great results, so I won't question you. Connor Ott taking down game number 1 there in very convincing fashion. What does Damian want to do to kind of break serve in what looks like a train wreck of a matchup? Like, Standard isn't about these 80-20s. There's not many of those just in general in Magic, but how bad is the percentage-wise if you had to guess?
I don't know if it's that bad.
Yeah.
Domain is one of the most polarizing decks in the format where it does actually have those wider matchup spreads, but it's going to get a lot better post-board.
Okay, what do you like?
There are a lot of tools here. Ghost Vacuum and High Noon are two permanent-based things that both stop the graveyard or stop multiple spells from being cast. So adding another block that Connor needs to overcome before going off. Negate, obviously phenomenal here. Even a card like Paw Patch Formation, which can break up the combo if there's only one Omniscience or just draw a card if necessary. And also has the backup mode of killing a dragon, where those larger creatures, sometimes the game comes down to that. It can handle that side of it too. So a lot of tools and a lot of a junk gets to get out of a deck. All those Ride Zens and stuff. So
yeah,
Damian in much better shape, and with a good draw with a Zur, backed up by a counterspell or a hate card, can definitely take this one down.
For sure. So is that what Damian needs to be doing here, is like get that clock and then back it up? Or, are you just still trying to kind of heavily mulligan to these High Noons, Ghost Vacuums? Like, what's your game plan if you're the Domain player?
Yeah, it's got to be establish a clock of some kind,
okay.
which for the most part is Zur. The White Overlord making 2/1 flyers is okay too, but get a clock in play and then have some amount of negate, Ghost Vacuum, High Noon stuff happening to make it so Connor has too many obstacles to overcome before those cards can kill him.
Okay, and then from Connor's side, what do you like against Domain?
From Connor's side, things get really interesting because, again, we have these sort of like jukey cards like Overlord and Voice of Victory and Beza. The reality is, though, that I don't know if this is a matchup where I'd be super interested in trying to play that more controlling role. The main role is pretty good, and Domain does have a pretty good endgame. Where one Overlord of the Mistborns is not going to be Domain by itself. So, going to stay pretty combo focused, I would assume. More so interested in answering the things that Damian is bringing in against the anti-hate or whatever.
Yeah, so maybe change the equation, right? Kind of hits them all.
Yeah, change the equation. Cathar Commando, get lost. Get these High Noons out of here. Ghost Vacuum. I can see probably the Conqueror coming in as well.
Sure.
But yeah, so more of the anti-hate package than the transformational package.
I also love the one Rakshasa's Bargain. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but I just love that interaction when you just have it up the beanstalk. I mean, that card is phenomenal. The new Sultai, kind of stock up at home, but the fact that it still triggers Beanstalk makes that card pretty impressive.
Yeah, a lot of folks are playing stock in that slot, like reading at the Pro Tour.
Yeah.
Bargain, I think, is most of the time worse because you don't need that Beans interaction, and it's harder to cast. But in this matchup specifically, it is definitely better. Being able to say go, leave mana up for Get Lost or Negate, and then have end-step card draw is pretty cool.
Okay, that's fair enough. And if you want to pick up some of these really sweet cards and try off some of these new standard decks that we've been seeing all weekend, Jim, where should they go?
StarCityGames.com.
Woo!
10% off all standard legal singles. That is every single card you're seeing played this weekend, and of course many, many more. So Standard's great right now. It's also experiencing a resurgence in paper, which is awesome.
Yes.
I love seeing paper Standard being a big deal again. And you want some cards, you got to play. So hop on, ends Monday. Don't miss out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, being able to see high-level Standard at paper, so many times a new set would come out. We're glued to the TV.
Yep.
We're glued to watching these SCG Tour matches, see who brought the new tech. I feel like it was always the Jessups that were crushing those,
I was never watching. I was always playing in those events. And
sure.
Those were by far the most exciting events for those. We would go in a day early occasionally.
Yeah.
The formation of Team MTG, for those who remember back in the day, was us going early, brewing Band Company, and then winning the first tournament in that format. And that was a really good time. I'm not going to say who won it, but one of us won.
Yeah.
One of the people on the team.
Sure.
And, but yeah, those week one standards are so much fun because you feel like you can have so much of an edge.
Yeah.
There's no information yet. Everyone's on an equal playing ground. There's no internet stuff happening. Just get in.
And they were almost always right before a pro tour too. So whether if I was a pro or if I was hanging, we were all eyes glued onto it. Be like, okay, what's the stuff that's looking good? We'd be testing decks as they pop up on screen. Be like, all right, nope, that's nonsense. Like there was nothing better than that week one feeling. I didn't get to play too many of them, lived in the Midwest. Things were a little trickier to get to back then. So I was just always watching, and it was always a blast to do. So looks like a mulligan here from Connor. Damian keeping the hand with Damian on the play here.
I would assume with Damian's record, obviously doing very well in the event, if Damian is playing this deck well and keeping 7, Damian has a very good hand.
Definitely.
I would be throwing back almost any hand that wasn't necessarily perfect, but didn't have a really good mix of tools, both in the proactive development as well as the interactive development.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been impressive to watch Damian's growth as a player here. Always deep in these tournaments, has done very well at the RCs, that I've cast and played against him a bunch. He knows his stuff. Good friends with Ivan, South California player as well, and they're always playing Eldrazi, and they're always dominating with it.
Yeah, interesting to see the Beanstalk go to the graveyard there. Obviously a key card, but recognizing it like this matchup is not really about having a million cards in hand.
You don't have the time. Yeah.
Right. It's about finding a pressure, finding a hate piece or two, and then getting it done.
Is it about being at high noon?
Yeehaw!
Jim brings the soundboard with. All right, so that is going to definitely shut down, the explosiveness here from this combo deck. It's just impossible to combo with that on the field, right? There's nothing. You got to begin. You got to have an Omniscience in play, and you got to start by removing it to keep the combo going, right? Like there's no world where you get Omniscience into play and then you deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, you have to kill. If you get mad to kill it first and return Omniscience, sure, but it is a serious roadblock. Interesting here, you see the Voice of Victory coming in. There are only 2 negates in the sideboard for Damian.
Okay.
There are some get lost too, so it can sort of stop that. But what I love about Voice of Victory is this thing just hits. It's 3 damage,
Yeah.
And like these sideboard games tend to get really ugly and slow down. Cards like High Noon, players keeping hands. We saw a Beanstalk go to the bin. Damian's not interested in playing the normal game here.
Yes.
It's the hate card game. And the hate card games, 3 damage returns a lot.
Yeah, and might just be a product of, hey, I need 4 lockdowns and 3 Aspara's dispersals out of my deck. This is the best option we got, you know? It could easily be the case of, I need X amount of cards out, not I need this Voice in.
Yeah, I think Voice is sneakily one of the better cards in Drunker Dragon's
I agree.
I think it's a card we're going to be seeing a lot in various formats over the next many years.
All these flashy multicolored dragons, 2-mana artifact, 2-mana creature, both maybe the best cards. But hey, that's the nice thing about the set being so new. There's probably still some diamonds in the rough in Tarkir, and there's for sure some diamonds in the rough in Tarkir after rotation. We're going to see a lot of cards unlocked as well.
Absolutely.
Here comes 3 more damage. This Voice doing some serious work. And just a pass. So not great. If Connor had something like the Sift, like a stock up, you want to cast it during your turn probably, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. So it feels like Voice reads your opponent cast counter spells. But it's only in your turn. So you're right. If you end step a Morag River, what's the omen called?
No one knows.
So many names on cards.
Coil and Catch.
There you go.
Of course, everyone knew that.
The Sifts. So if you cast it on your opponent's turn, they can counter it.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Counterspell, loot the Omniscience into the yard. That is why you play 1 of that card, and it looked amazing. Refute there, doing some serious work.
Yeah, anytime you can stop your opponent from doing stuff while furthering your own combo plan, great place to be.
Absolutely. They don't make cancels like they used to.
I played a lot of cancel in tournaments.
Yeah.
Time Spiral, Block Constructed. Cast a lot of cancels.
Oh, definitely. Here's a Stock Up. I haven't cast too many cards like Stock Up, though.
Yeah.
I mean, Dig Through Time, but, that is had some work to get to that one.
I've cast many Divination in Standard on camera at Star City events. And I would have killed for a Stock Up.
Wow. Yeah. Divination Gamer. Incredible. Picks the 2 cards, see what the follow-up is. Had the ability to, Umbuelos back the Omniscience, but wouldn't have had a follow-up to deal with High Noon. So didn't, even if we did have that from Connor, it's not a solid option quite yet.
Yeah, Damian, needs to be doing more to kind of pressure Connor and not give Connor just carte blanche here.
Yeah.
Connor's able to just take your time, cast Stock Up, discard some cards, do all this great stuff. Just at 20 life, there's no problems,
Here's the pressure at least to get it started. Let's see. There is the equation. It's been changed. Looks pretty good against these Overlords. And you see Damian with a Paw Patch formation in hand, something to interact with an Omniscience if it came into play, but just doesn't matter.
Yeah, Voice of Victory, not only stopping counter spells, but also the interactive spells too.
Yeah.
So really cutting things down. Now, and once again,
Beatdowns.
we've seen this Omniscience deck on the beatdown plan so often.
Yeah.
Clarion Conqueror's there to stop Ghost Vacuum, but, I mean, hey, there's 6 power in play, and Damian's at 8.
Yeah, I mean, it's looking great so far. And that really leads me to just really like the look of the Azorius Omniscience deck. We've seen them on coverage quite a bit, you and I. And this kind of plan B has worked multiple times. So I think this deck looks great.
Yeah, it has definitely looked quite good on camera.
Let's see what we got. Overlord again. Oh, my God. Heavy sigh from Damian. Just has not had an option to do anything. Like, no real play to it.
We got to talk to the director here. This is obviously Azorius Tempo.
Yeah.
This is not Azorius Omniscience.
Yeah.
That is a misnomer, incorrect, not factual.
Nick does not care for people misnaming their decks, too, so we really need to get this corrected as soon as possible.
This is very rude.
So here is enough attack to put Damian down to 2. How many Day of Judgments do you think are left in Damian's main deck?
I'm going to guess between 0 and 0.
Yeah, I think it would be very close between 0 and 0 as well. And we'll see if there's even another counterspell to just end it. And we did already play our Moment of Truth.
So picking a card here and then, of course, locked out for the rest of a turn. But plenty to do on Damian's turn.
Yep. And heading over to what could be the last turn of this particular game. A white Overlord would still not even be enough unless you have, 7 mana to hardcast it, which we do not. And there it is. That is going to be game and match. To Connor Ott going to 10-2 with Azorius Omniscience.